Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is a Google Keep and Why Use It training. Please keep yourself muted. Any questions or comments, please type it in the chat. Now to introduce our one and only Crystal Hooper.
Thank you, Kirsten, and thank you all for joining this morning. So what is Google Keep and why use it? I'm going to be honest with you. This is not a Google product that I used a lot, but now that I've investigated it to get ready to present it to all of you, I'm intrigued and I've thought of some new ways that I'm going to use it. So this is going to be a beginner's demonstration, an introduction to Google Keep, and we're going to cover a variety of ways of how you might find it helpful. So we'll go over how to access Keep and look at the different ways you can add notes, how to find notes within Keep, how to edit and format the note, how to delete the notes, and how you can use Keep to work collaboratively with your peers. So a little bit about me. My name is Crystal Hooper, and I got my library science degree from the University of Alabama. I'm the branch manager of the North Plainfield Library, which is part of the Somerset County Library System of New Jersey. I'm still the acting treasurer for NJ-ALA, soon to move into a digital liaison role. And I'm also an aerospace education member for Civil Air Patrol. So enough about me. So what is Google Keep? So I think of it as a virtual post-it note generator. If you are a person who writes down reminders to like pick up something from the store, with Keep, you can actually set a location-based reminder. So when you pull up to the store, the list will just pop up on your phone, which is really cool, not to be scary. But that's a neat feature if you are a forgetful person. If you are working on a to-do list, you can add little check boxes and you can mark them off as you go. You can even set yourself time-based reminders. So if you need that like email or pop-up on your screen to come up and say, oh, you were supposed to do this morning, like let's say sign off on timesheets or something, you can set it up to be recurring or a one-time reminder. You can share your to-do list with others and then watch as things get checked off in real time. You can also add audio notes and you can share your notes with more people. So you can have multiple people working on a to-do list at once. And Keep also works on your phone, your tablet, and your computer, so you can sync it all across your devices. I'm going to show you mostly how to use it on the computer today, but I did download it on my phone, so we can try to do a voice memo and see what happens. So we're going to dive right in. How do you access Google Keep? If you've attended other Google sessions that NJ-ALA has hosted, or you're familiar with Google, you know to look for the app menu. That's in the upper right hand of the screen. I always call it the waffle. It's that 3x3 grid. When you left click on that once, you get the drop down menu and you'll find the Keep logo, which is bright yellow, kind of looks like there's a light bulb in it. When you click on that, it'll pop up a new screen. And don't be concerned if you're trying to do this later and yours doesn't look black. I just put our account on dark mode. White is the default for Google, so don't be alarmed if yours looks a little different. But that's just one way to access Keep. Like I alluded to, there's an app you can get on your tablet or phone. You can bookmark it. You can just simply Google Keep and launch it from there too. Just make sure that you're signed into your Google account to get started. So let's practice this. Before I move on, did a new window pop up that you can see? It looks like a Google window.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So like I was saying, click on the upper right, you see the Google Apps menu and you can click on Keep. If you don't see it right away in the top like ours is laid out, just scroll down and you'll look for it. So I'm going to click on it once and that launched my Google Keep. And this is the NJ-ALA's Google account. So we use this as a to-do list, as a reminder of tasks and things that we need to do. So you see, we already have some populated. Google Keep is super easy to use. So I don't want you to be intimidated that there's already things on the screen. But let me show you another way that you can launch Google Keep before we play with it. So I'm going to go back to that apps menu and I'm going to click on Gmail. And this is going to open NJALA's Gmail, which doesn't have a lot of messages in it. And I'm just going to delete the one that we see right away. So can you see this empty Gmail inbox right now?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. So if you're familiar with Gmail, you might have noticed the Keep logo on the right-hand side. And you can work in your Gmail account and sync with other Gmail applications. But you can just click on it and it'll open it. And what's nifty is you have the option to take a new note right from your Gmail. You can link an email from your email account into Keep, but you can see all the same to-do lists, the same color coding, the same images, everything that I showed you when I launched Keep from the generic Google app menu, you can also launch from Gmail. So I'm going to keep that open and we're going to look back and forth quick. So for right now, focus on this one that says to do and has the check boxes, and focus on this one that has the picture near the bottom right of the screen. Okay, so if I look at the to do near the top right and I say get end of July presenter details and I put a box in it, it moved that to be a completed item and it put a strike through the text, but it's still there. If I switch tabs and I go back to Google Keep, did you see it automatically changed? It's my second note. It's near the middle of the screen. It's my only one that says to do and it's got the little check boxes. So it didn't get rid of the note that needs to work on. And if for some reason you are working collaboratively and someone checked that off prematurely, you can just unclick it and it'll move it back into be another action item. Did that make sense? Because I can show it again. But before I move on to something else, I want to make sure you saw that.
Yes.
Thank you. So the nice thing about Keep, just like every Google app, is it's got an auto save feature. So as soon as you make an edit or you do something, you've got this little refresh in the upper right. It looks like an arrow that's kind of curly and pointing to the right. When you make a change, that'll say saved. If you've made a change and you don't see it right away, you can click refresh and then you get the little cloud with the save check box in it. And then you know that your progress is saved. So let's look at some of these notes. For example, this one that says NJALA Executive Committee. I clicked on it once and that made it a little larger. So we just had our conference last month and we elected people to new positions, but we haven't went in and updated this note yet. So you can see the cursors kind of going on my name already. So I can just highlight and easily text or type new text into the box. I don't have to worry about missing the cursor or rewriting over something different. I can just go through and edit live, and anyone who was collaborating with me or logged into this account could see the same thing at the same time. So we could have two cursors working in the same note. All right, I'm not going to update all of it in front of you, but I'm going to show you some other cool things. So it's got this neat palm tree firework background, right? Kind of patriotic. We just had the 4th of July. So if I needed to remind myself to go back and continue working on this note, I can look for the little bell. I'm going to hover over it and that says remind me. And when I click on that, it's very familiar if you use Google Calendar. You get the same kind of reminder options. So if I want to work on it later today, I can just click the pre-done time and then it gives me a little reminder right in the box. That reminder is also going to link to my email. If I did that time, but I messed up and I shouldn't have clicked that, all I have to do is hit the X to get rid of that note, and I see a little pop-up on the bottom left that says reminder deleted. So if I click back and remind me, I can go through and I can say, all right, well, you know what? I got a busy day today. I'll work on that tomorrow. But 8 p.m., I'm not working anymore at 8 p.m. How about 1 o'clock in the afternoon? I can do it right when I get back from lunch or something. Does it repeat? Well, I can say, yes, we do change who the president, vice president is. We do that yearly. So I can say every year on July 7th at 1 p.m., it's going to send an email to NJALA's Gmail account, and it'll remind us to update this information. And when I'm happy with the time, I can hit save. If I wanted to add a collaborator, and like I said, we're in NJALA's account, we share this account, but if I wanted to add this because I needed to look at it on my work email, I can type in myself and hit save. And then it added my work email icon into the box so that you know who your saved collaborators are on that note. If I changed my mind and said, you know what, Crystal doesn't affiliate with NJALA anymore, I can go in and I can delete that person from it. So it's very easy to be able to share and control who can see the note. I was talking about the fireworks and the palm trees in the background. If that doesn't jive with your theme, you can click on background options. It looks like a little paint palette. And you can do solid colors and you can do images, or you can say, you know what, I don't need a picture at all and just go with nothing. But you can change it to be whatever you'd like. There's lots of cute ones or just solid colors. The solid colors is going to affect your little icon menu bar, which is at the bottom of your note. If you don't want a color, just click on it. It looks kind of like a raindrop with a line through it for no color. All right. When I'm satisfied with it, I can just click off of that palette and back in the note and can keep editing. Or I could add an image. So if I was like, all right, we need to have a picture from our conference or something, I can add an image to it. Or if I had a picture of all the committee members together, I could add an image to it. And that just adds more reminders to your note. So you can color code it by task or who is responsible for that task, whatever you'd like to do. The archive, as soon as I click this button, it's going to delete this note from our screen. And I'm not going to show you the archive of NJALA's account because that's where some of our passwords are kept. And I'm not going to share that information with you for obvious reasons. So I'm going to leave you to play with notes, archive something, and then go find it. You can make you'll have a folder for archives, so it's much easier to find, so don't be worried. The more option, you get a few different things you can do. You can delete the note from here if you want to change the label. We haven't gone over labels yet, but that's what you see here that says NJALA team. I set up a few other labels, but you can add as many as you like. When I was, as I shared at the top of this session, I wasn't a big Google Keep user until I really had to learn it to share my findings with all of you. And I was looking at this and saying, wow, I can use this for program planning, for scheduling. I can use this for a lot of things at work within the library. And I was also thinking at home, like when you go on vacation, if you have kids and you're like, oh my gosh, did we pack sunscreen and enough clothes and, pull-ups for overnight, whatever it is. You can make a to-do list and you can work on it as a family versus having all that stress and weight of the world on your shoulders, which is nice. If you make any kind of mistake in a note, there's always the undo. And if you previously, did a thing, but you need to change it back, you can do redo, but that's only once you save the note. And look at this, it's giving me a nice little reminder here. You can also add labels by typing the little hashtag. So that's neat. So let's try it. Let's try doing a hashtag, and sure enough, there all my pre-done labels come up. So that's pretty neat. All right, I'm going to close this note and you'll see it got much bigger, the background updated. It's got my reminder, it's got the right label. Before I show you a new thing about notes, any questions so far?
There was one. I think, Karina, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a couple.
Okay.
Okay, first, when you send the reminders, can they be sent to more than one email address, or it only gets sent to the email associated with the account?
I believe it would go to anyone who you added as a collaborator.
Okay. And then next question. So I see that you can add an image to the top.
Yeah.
Can you actually upload your own image as the background?
I did not see a way to do that when we were in this note. Let's look again. Add image, just did it to the top. That's what we did before. This palette is the one that's got the pre-done ones. And there's not that many options. So maybe it's something that Google will add more to, but I don't see a way to do that at the moment.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I just didn't get that far, and looking at, I would say that's a more advanced feature.
Is there a way to create a template? So like, for example, you said programming, and we use the same checklist for every single program. A way to just create the same card.
Yeah, you can duplicate a note.
Okay.
Yep. Yep,
Thanks.
you can do that. All right, any other questions?
I don't think so. I just saw Karina's, but then I didn't see the question.
Okay, perfect. All right, so you may be wondering, that's lovely. I kind of showed you how to click on a note that already existed and how to edit it. What if you need to take a brand new note? So let's go over 2 easy ways you can do that on the computer. The first, you've got this box that never goes away from the top, which said take a note. So you can make it be a title. So we can say, this is a test note. And then I'm going to take a note. And I can just start typing. So I can say, hello, all attendees. And if that's all I need to do, I can hit close. That auto save the note, and you can always watch that little check mark and that cloud come up. And your notes are going to default to be the top left. So pretend like we're reading it and we're making a big note collage. You added it to the top left. So I've got a default there. I've got a starting guide there. If I click on it, it makes it bigger, just like you saw before. It's got the last time I edited it, which makes sense. We created it a minute ago. And then I can go in and add reminders and collaborators and those little cutesy features that we were looking at right away. If this was a really, really important note, like you decided to use this as your password management keeper, and you were new to logging into a thing, and you were like, every time I log into Google Keep, no matter how many notes I take, I need that one to be number 1, like at the top of the list. You click this little pin. So imagine like you had a bulletin board and you pinned the note to that special spot that you knew where to look. When it's filled in, you've pinned the note. And when we close it, we see it's kind of made 2 categories. The pinned becomes this new line across the top. Every other note just kind of goes to the bottom. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great. All right, I'm going to swap back over to the Gmail inbox. Okay. So looking at a few things, you can see we have that test note, hello all attendees, it's right here. What you'll notice is it kind of looks like the pin has changed colors, so it's blue now. If I hover over a note that didn't have, this was a voice recording note, the one beneath it that says set in-person meeting schedule. So I could pin that one. If I look at these other menus, all I can do is, relaunch Google Keep in another tab, delete this pin or archive the pin. So you don't get as much functionality within Gmail, but it at least gives you a starting point. So you don't have to, if you're a multitasker, you can take that 5 seconds to type it in Google Keep versus finding a random piece of paper and having to do it again later. If I'm in my Gmail though, and I'm like, I need to take a note, there's this little take a note at the top of that sidebar. And when I click on it, I get the same features that we saw in Google Keep, where it was like, make me a title and write me a simple note. So I can say, check this note out, and then go back to Keep and spell it correctly and hit done. And we've got that. And you're seeing that as we make more notes and we make edits to notes, they kind of start going in order from the top. So if you pin it, it'll always stay at the top. If you make a new note, it kind of goes right underneath it. And they're going in like chronological order, like the most recent note you wrote down is the most important thing that you need to take action on. If your mind thinks that way, we all know that that's not always the case. You write notes all day long, you stick them different places. That's where your reminders are going to come in handy. So let's go back over to Google Keep and check out that note we just made. So my pinned one is still here. And here's that one we made from Gmail. Check out this note. Go back to Google Keep. We found it. We did it. We don't need this note. So let's just delete it. All right. Any other questions so far?
Yes. Can you click and drag the notes around?
Let's try it.
And can
Absolutely.
can you change the layout?
Yes, that is in the go away Zoom thing. List view. It's this little rectangle box grid in the upper right. So if you do that, your pinned one still stays to the top, and then your others kind of go in order from when you created them. But I could still rearrange them if I needed to. So if you wanted to use this as a task list and you were like, I'm going to make each task is going to have a separate note, you could definitely do it in this view and you could just move them around. I'm going to move it. I'll leave it like this for a while. We'll see how we like it. You don't know what you don't know until you try it. Any other questions?
Can you connect to the Google account? Hold on. Can you connect to Google Calendar?
Can I add keep to calendar? Is that the question?
Yeah, hold on. It says, can you change the layout? Hold on. And can you connect to calendar? I'm assuming yes, if you can connect the keep to the calendar.
So let's look at a note. Let's find. Here's one that says survey. So this is my reminder to send all of you a survey about this session. So I set it for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So let's just open Google Calendar and see if it has that on there. It's a good question. I kind of set that note up so it said, yeah, it did. Here we go. Presentation prep, virtual presenters. So it's got this cute little like fingerprint or pointer finger that's like, click here.
Karina, she's answering the question that you asked about if you can connect the keep into the Google Calendar.
Which it absolutely does. So that's very neat. Google can be very, very inclusive and impressive when it works that way. Let me pull it up again because I know some people got dropped out of the meeting and came back in. So what I verified was in Google Keep, I found a note that said survey, send follow-up to attendees. It looks like I set that reminder for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So I just opened my Google app menu again and went to calendar. And wait for it to load. And then I see I have 2 reminders. And that's where I'm saying I got that little like index finger sticking out saying click here. And there are my 2 notes. Send survey, send follow-up reminder. And earlier in the session, I set another one that said, remember to update the rest of the executive member committee. So what happens if we want to launch it from calendar? So we can do view related note in Keep. That's going to relaunch a new tab. that's got keep, I can edit it right from here. I can delete it or I can mark it as done. So what happens if I edit it? I can change the time or say if it needs to repeat or become an all day thing. Okay. And what happens if I mark it as done? Then it goes away. View related note and keep. That should just reopen keep, which it did. It's a good question. And look at that. It even launched the right note right away. And that reminder is still on there. So if I want to edit it, I can say, oh, you know what? I'll do it right away in the morning now instead. Okay. And if we go back to calendar, it should have that updated. We'll refresh. Yep, I just changed it to be an 8 a.m. task and now it's on there. And there's that reminder that I marked off too. So it stays in the calendar even when you've finished the task. Anything else you want to see about the calendar and keep integration before we move on?
Anybody? Nope, I think you're good.
All right, thank you. Just gonna move that tab over. So
Oh, wait, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Okay. Do all members have access for editing?
If they can log into the account, like you're sharing one account, one password kind of deal, they'll be able to edit. If you add a collaborator, you'll have to give them permission, just like you would with a document or anything. So let's try it. If
And
I'm a
can you limit who changes things?
Let's see. Let me add. Collaborators are going to be able to do whatever they can do. They are going to be able to do and see everything. There's no, you know, like when you're sharing a Google Doc or a sheet and it says, do you want them to comment or view or edit? We don't get those features in this, but let me just, I'm going to just not pull it up because I don't know what's going to happen. Let me just look at my email on a computer right next to me and see. So I got an email. It says, do you want to collaborate? And when I go in, I can see all the notes. I can edit any note. So yes, if you add a collaborator, they're going to be able to edit and see all your notes. Good question. I just didn't want to show you on the screen because I didn't know what was in my actual work inbox. You never know, there could be a HR thing in there that shouldn't be shared. So thank you for understanding. Any other questions?
Nope. Nope, you're good.
Okay, so let's look at some of these other ways you can organize your notes. So I told you I set up a few little labels. So you can see it on the bottom of this virtual presenters note. It says virtual presenters. And if we look on the left-hand side, there's a tag for that. So if I click on that, any note that got linked and tagged to be about virtual presenting would live in that folder. So right now there's only one in there, the NJALA team. So if we needed to have notes about specific committee members, or maybe I wanted to add their emails or something to this, I could make more notes there. The conference one has two. And you'll see that I color coded them to be the same. So we got the location of where it was and the date of where it was. Of course, those two bits of information could be in one note, if that's the way you take notes, or you can make many notes. What's in the bills? So here's a good example of one note. So it's just, these are the things we have to pay yearly to manage our website and our Zoom account. And I told you I'm not going to show you the archive because for our purposes, that's where we keep some password details. you are gonna go at the end of the session, you can play with Keep, and then you can put things in the archive. Just remember that's that folder that's got the down arrow. And you will already have this folder set up as a label that says archive. And any notes that we trashed, because we've trashed a few today, those show up there too. And look, it says they're deleted after 7 days. Other Google things like your Gmail trash and your Drive trash is 30 days. So this is a little shorter than the other Google apps, but remember, this is more of like a to-do list than a way to like archive everything about your life or your work. Let's look at reminders. So there's a few notes that have reminders attached to them. So this goofy one that you see that looks like chicken scratch, that is literally what it is. You can add a note, and we'll do it. We'll do that next, where you can make a drawing. So I drew this yesterday, just so you could see, like, it doesn't matter how you take a note. You can still add it in here. But we have a few things that have reminders in it, and we saw that in the Google Calendar as well. So let's look at this note that looks ridiculous. So if I did not draw well to write words, but it's supposed to say slides, research, practice. So as I was getting ready for this presentation today, I was like, okay, these are the things that I need to do yesterday. And I was like, let me see how hard it is to write a note beautifully using the mouse. But if I needed to add text to it now, I can just type into it. So I can say like all done and spell it correctly and hit close. And that note goes in the bottom. So it's all tied to one note. Just looks a little different. So how did I get it to make a drawing? In that take a note at the top, which always is there. If you want to make a list, so have like check boxes, click on that, and then you can make your list item. So you can say like go to store, and you'll see that plus turned into a clickable box. If I want to add a new item, I can say like go to post office. And I can keep going. Go to doctor, whatever it is. I can easily change the time and say, oh, I got to do all this next Monday in the morning. It defaults to 8, 1 and 6 and 8, but you can do custom, and then you can just type the time in. So if you want to be really obscure and say like 9:31 a.m., it doesn't need to repeat. Up to you. Depends on what the task is. But now that's set up. I can add a title and say like weekly to-do list. And when I'm done and I'm happy with the note and I'm like, I need to add a pretty background or banner, make it all color coded, I can do that. That note is in this list since I put a reminder for Monday coming up. That's why it moved to the bottom of the list. It didn't stay at the top like it was a brand new note. Let's do a drawing. So I'm going to click on this. It looks like a paintbrush. It opens a new tab. It looks big, bright white screen. So I got a few features right away. I can decide, do I want it to be squares, dots, like if you're a bullet journaler, but want to do it digitally. If you want like a notepad, or just the blank screen. So that one I showed you that I made yesterday, I did dots and tried to make little squares. I could have just went with squares too. When you're ready and you like the template you have, just click off of that menu. If you needed to, if I hover, will you tell us what this does? No. All right. If we're going to scribble, and I'm going to say, so I'm writing with my mouse right now. So think of your time playing with clip art and 3D paint and all those things. That's what you've got going on here. You've got different pens you can use. They come in different colors. You can change the colors by hitting the little drop down, and then the back half of the pen changes colors. If you want to change the pen stroke, the boldness, you can do that too. Let's say I'm gonna You can draw a smiley face, whatever, however you take notes. That's the whole point, right? No matter what you do, you can find a way to make Keep reflective of your personality and how you need to read and relay information. You get the same features with this drawing one. In the upper right, you've got the undo redo, which is the arrow to the left is undo, redo is the one to the right. If we click on this, it just makes it smaller. If we click it again, it makes it bigger. The three vertical icons, you can just launch into a new drawing, export as an image if you wanted to save whatever the note looks like, or delete everything about this current drawing. And if you're happy with it, you can click on the back and you've got your note. So I'm done editing it. So you can see it says hi all, it's got that smiley face. We got different colors. We got different pen stroke boldness. So I can say this was a demo drawing. And I always have those same features. So if I want to change the background, and notice that didn't do anything to the background of my drawing, just like the border of the note. And I can click on the note and make it big again if I need to add more to it. And now if I'm going to add text to it, I can just start typing in the bottom. When I was doing it, I downloaded the Keep app on my phone, which we're going to try next. But I was like, oh, you know, sometimes like if I'm out with my kids and they want to play a game, but they get sick of all the games that I have downloaded, and I'm not going to download a new one for the 5 minutes for them to learn some patience. It's like I could open Keep and they could draw me notes and they could become little reminders of things. That might work for you too. Like I said, I was really surprised with what Keep has to offer. So I'm just going to go back to all notes and I'm going to change the layout because I'm not usually a messy, disorganized person, but I don't really like list view, and that's just my preference. Before I show you the voice memo, any other questions?
Yep, hold on, let me check. Oh. What is archive used for?
Archive is for notes that you don't want to see in front of you, but you need to keep. So I've used them for password, so I can put the username and password and know that no matter if someone, you know, comes and shares my computer or has, you know, access to this account, they're most likely not going to go look in the archive. If you are familiar with Google as a whole and you've archived an email, it can be really hard to go find that archive folder. So a lot of people don't like to use it. We're going to talk about Gmail, I think, next month in one of these sessions, and we'll talk about archiving emails and things in there. But I just think of archive in the Keep sense as it's the private notes folder, the things that you don't need everyone to take action on. You don't need them, you know, commenting and reading.
All right.
Okay, so I told you I made one voice memo note. And I don't know if it's obvious on the screen, but there's only one note that has a play symbol on it. And that's this one that says set in-person meeting schedule. And it's got the little icon right here. So it's only 3 seconds and I can't promise I was talking loud when I made it, but let's hit play and let's see if we can hear anything. Set in-person meeting schedule. So I literally said set in-person meeting schedule. I could hear it very faintly, but like I said, it was my test one. So I didn't put a lot of thought into what I was saying or how loudly I was talking yesterday. But you can see the exact thing that I said, it put in text on the screen. So this part of our demo isn't going to be very exciting, but I'm going to open notes on my phone. And when you're looking at it on a tablet or a phone, you get this really handy at the top. You still get the checkbox, the drawing, and the add a note with an image. But you get one more feature, which is the microphone. So I'm gonna, while we're talking, I'm just gonna make one right now. So I'm gonna say, hi, everybody, we're doing a test note on a phone. Okay. So while I was saying that to you, I made that test note, and did you see it popped up? And now it says make one right now. So I'm going to say, hi, everybody, we're doing test note on the phone. Same thing that you heard me say live. I captured it on my phone with a note. So let's open that note and let's see if the audio is a little better since I was trying to project a little more. I'm going to make one right now. So I'm going to say, hi, everybody, we're doing a test note on a phone. So it's a little better because I had practiced yesterday and knew that you really have to be clear and hold the microphone almost right into your mouth to get it to work. But if you were driving, right, and you needed to have a note that was like, oh my God, a new, I don't know, Chick-fil-A or something opened. We got to go there. You could message that to yourself in Google Keep. I remember earlier I was saying if you were like doing vacation prep and you and your vacation cohort wanted to use Keep to get everything packed, especially if it was like a big family outing or a picnic, and you were like, someone's got to bring potato salad and someone's got to get plates and whatever it was. You could use Keep, you could do notes, you could draw pictures, you could do whatever you needed to do. Same thing with this weekly to-do list. If I share this, right, and I make myself a collaborator. And I'll just open my email on the computer next to me and let's see if I can find it, which I do. So I'm going to open that and Keep. And I'm going to close it and keep your eye on this weekly to-do list. Okay. So I'm a collaborator working with someone else, and I'm going to start doing these to-do lists. And you can see my work email icon and email popped up, right? And I clicked on one and I got rid of one item from that to-do list. So if I open it, you see it moved from the top of action items and moved down to completed items. So what happens if I do more? So if I do it live, so you can see who's working in the note at that time. And you can see as I work on a different computer on a different screen, it's auto taking that data and seeing it so that there's really no delay. So that's a pretty nice feature. Okay, any other questions?
Yep, hold on. Oh, nothing. They just said thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, so if you want to make more labels or add labels, you can edit, just click on edit labels. It looks like that little pencil on the left, and you can create new labels. So you could say like, I'm going to have a 2024 ideas and make a new label. And then maybe this demo drawing is going to become something we're going to incorporate more as a team next year. So then I can add a label to it. And I'm going to use those dots, 3 vertical dots, and do add a label. And I'm going to click on that one I just made, click off the note, and you can see that it puts it in there. And yes, you can have more than one label if you want to have it, or you can change the label right there. But I can add multiple labels if it's something that falls into many categories, however you want to organize your stuff. Let's look at one more thing, which is settings in the upper right corner. So if I want to, remember at the beginning I said don't be alarmed if you go into notes and Keep later and you're like, mine is white, why was yours black? It's just because I set this dark theme, because to my eyeballs this was overwhelming, like not easily organized. So I like the dark theme. Not everybody does. So again, that was in settings, and that's just enabling or disabling the dark theme. Dark is just easier for my eyes. If you are finding that the notes aren't auto-populating or the reminders aren't working, you can send feedback straight to Google on it. You can get help about Google Keep from this menu. So if we open that, and this is where I went to learn some of the things that I demonstrated for you today. So they've got tips about how to pin and label and archive more about sharing, setting reminders, tools and troubleshooting, because there are some keyboard shortcuts. I just decided that was more advanced and we weren't going to get into that today. But that's all very easy for you to find right in Google Keep. I do not have anything else to demonstrate for you about Google Keep today. So I'm curious, do you have other questions? Or did you, while we were going over this, think of a way that you could use Google Keep?
Anybody? Not at the moment.
Okay, then I am going to close this and go back to our slideshow. This slide deck will get emailed to you, but please email this njalaconference@gmail.com at the bottom, or me directly if you come up with a cool way to use Keep, or you use it for like a couple months and you're like, oh my gosh, this really changed the way that I get organized, or I take notes in meetings, or whatever it is. I'm just curious to see how you use it, because like I shared with you, I wasn't a big user of it myself. But I'm starting to see there could be some cool ways to do it. And upcoming for presentations that are Google related that I'm going to offer next month is going to be about Gmail and chat. Then we're going to do Drive and Calendar. The one in November is going to be real brief overviews of a lot of those things, meets, tasks, and GQs. And then we're going to end the year talking about Google Photos. That is all I have for you for today. So let me get back so you can see my face. I can hang out in the room for a few minutes. Otherwise, thank you all again for joining us.